This video changed my life. I randomly clicked on it without really expecting much, but it wasn't just a video. This had the production value and the storytelling of a movie. It felt like art, not something that just exists for views, and it kind of changed how I think about making video. After I watched it, I got whatever money I had in my wallet and then just bought a camera. Sure, at first I sucked at making videos and they were really bad, but I kept going and I kept learning filmmaking techniques, and I realized that we live in a time where we can make movies, not just videos. Imagine this, you're someone scrolling through YouTube, trying to find a video to watch, and you see this, a video that is super high quality, a video that has all of these incredible and creative shots, and a video that has meaning. You're going to remember that video, and that's what's important. You'll make an impact. There's also been a surge with this filmmaking style, and now people are actually spending hours upon hours ideating, shooting, and then editing these mini movies to showcase their point. And instead of just making a YouTube video, they're making films, real art. So I'm gonna show you what you need to focus on to create these kind of movies that actually have meaning and leave an impact. This is why you should make movies, not videos. Right now, everyone on social media is creating these high quality stories, and they're putting so much effort into actually making this look more like a movie instead of just a YouTube video. So they're spending time on lighting, on scenes, on showcasing their ideas in a really interesting way. But why? Well, there are two very different explanations for this. The first one, and my least favorite, is the market just got more competitive. There are really a lot of videos online, and if you really want to stand out, you gotta make an impact, so there's not really a lot of room for choice. You need to have the best quality. The second one, which is actually my favorite, is that everyone just wants to make art now. A good majority of us creators realize that this field is nothing without art, and that our ideas and values have more meaning and make more of a change than to just make money. Now, there are a lot of creators that started this kind of movement, and these people inspired a whole wave of other creators like Gox or Reza. They pretty much revolutionized the entire YouTube space with their cinematic style. And they managed to become as big as they did because they actually care about the things they're talking about. Gox, for example, cares so much that he spends months working on a video, making sure that everything is satisfying to watch, that people will treat it as a movie. There are things to take away from his videos, and there's an actual story with acts and different ideas. And I think it's all a matter of identity. Who do you want to be? Because on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, you have the freedom to become literally anyone. You can be a filmmaker. Nobody's gonna stop you from making these kind of videos. And you can also be a normal YouTuber. You can make talking head videos with great editing that are educational, or you can create your own style or mix them up. And I think that's part of why this is becoming so popular. We realize that we have this freedom. We have the freedom to really do anything we want. We have the freedom to make a change. So if we like a certain style used in a music video, or we like the lighting or shots from a movie, we can just add them to our own videos to make them better. People that have this style tend to see YouTube like a creative outlet, so their own canvas, and every video is more than that. It's a kind of project. And that's why I have this cinematic style too, because I see this as more than just a hobby or a job. I see it as a chance to really influence someone with my art. So this is why this high effort style is really kind of blowing up right now. And I want to show you how to actually do this too, without relying on super expensive gear. So first of all, to make movies, you have to understand the basics. And what I mean by that is that you have to know what lighting is, how to actually get good lighting, what composition is, and how to actually create interesting sequences. Let's start with lighting, because that's actually one of the most important and easy things to work on to get amazing videos like this. First of all, there are multiple types of lights, and I'm not going to go very in depth on why you shouldn't use one or the other, but basically you have natural light and then you have artificial light. Natural light is the light from the sun, and most of the time it's going to be diffused, meaning if you use natural light at the right time, like for example when it's slightly cloudy outside, then you're going to have nice soft shadows. Shadows are actually really important to having great quality content, and it's actually not that hard to understand. You want soft shadows for most of the shots. Basically, if you have natural lighting and it's not the middle of the day, you're gonna have nice shadows without having to do much work. If you don't have access to natural light, then you're gonna have a harder time. But this is where artificial lighting comes in. There are multiple lights you can use, but a rule of thumb is to never combine two different light sources, unless you know what you're doing. And then also don't use ceiling lights. When you use ceiling lights, you create these harsh shadows under your eyes, and you also show imperfections in the face. So it's just not aesthetic. But all of it really depends on the style you're going for. If, for example, you want your subject to look, well, more, then you can use ceiling or top-down shots for that. Also, you always want to position your camera on the shadow side. And that's like the #1 advice people give creators starting out. Because if you shoot shadow side, you have a lot of texture and it creates depth, rather than just shooting in front of the subject, for example. It can get very complicated if you want actual studio lighting, but really, you don't need all of that. Using the sun and then positioning the camera, shadow side will pretty much do all of the work for you. Of course, you still do need to know your settings to get even better footage like ISO, shutter speed, aperture, white balance, but don't worry, I am gonna make a video on it soon, so subscribe for that. But just doing these two things will make your quality way better. Now, composition. This also plays a huge role in making cinematic content. Like, for example, creating a scene or a backdrop for your shots, making sure that things are aesthetic, stuff like that. One of the most underrated composition tricks is learning how to use the rule of thirds. Let me show you what I mean. So, these lines right here, this is the rule of thirds. This grid. And basically, the common sense is that everything shot right here is going to be aesthetic. And a lot of people do this, but the secret is placing the subject along these lines, or actually in any of these intersections. This intersection actually creates a cinematic scene because it's symmetrical. So if you take these lines into account for your next shot, trust me, you'll have way more of a film look. Now, finally, you need sequences. Sequences are just collections of shots that together tell a story. You start with a wide shot, like for example, you coming to frame, starting the action. Then a close-up of the keyboard, and then a close-up of the text you're writing maybe, followed by a medium shot that shows your emotion or you focusing on it. And finally, another medium or wide shot to close the action. Together, this creates a story, and that's actually what we're after, because we don't want to just create videos. We want to create movies that influence people, movies that actually have meaning. And if you focus on all of these things, then you're just going to stand out. Okay, that's on the technical side. And I just want you to know that you don't actually need to have expensive lenses or cameras for this. You can just use your phone. And I made a video on it right here. So click here to watch it. Anyways, Act 3. Storytelling and how to get your point across. Now, storytelling is really important in content creation, and especially in this kind of new cinematic movement. And that's because without a story, none of it even matters. A lot of the great people that already have this style, like The Life of Riza, Gox, understand this and they script their videos to essentially be a story. So they have a hero, they have conflict, and they get over the conflict. A lot of this storytelling is actually done based on a few frameworks that a lot of writers and filmmakers use. The first one is having conflict. For example, you want to have a natural flow of you wanting to do something, being then unable to do it, and then finally overcoming your problem and learning a new skill in order to finally be able to get over it. Now, this is like the simplest storytelling technique ever, and a lot of writers and a lot of good books use this, but that's just because it's how we work. We love seeing somebody overcome their problems because we relate to that. So if you show the conflict and you show how bad you want something and then show what's at stake, then people realize that the story is actually meaningful to you. And that's actually part of your life. That's what makes Gox's videos so good, is because he has this element of, I want to do something. I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to do it, but I'm going to still try. And then he kind of fails. And you think that's the end of it, but he keeps on going. And eventually he succeeds because that's the reality we live in. If something is hard and we keep on trying to do it and we learn new things in order to finally do that thing, we will eventually have success. That's why a lot of people keep telling you that on social media, if you keep posting, you will eventually find success. Because you eventually learn so many skills that it's just unreasonable for you to not be successful. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. After you create this kind of conflict in your story and you show what's at stake, you show the real risk, you show what you stand to lose, then you need to break it up in 3 parts. I call this the 3-act system. There are a lot of videos explaining this 3-act system, and I did not come up with it. It's just a fundamental thing in storytelling. Basically, you want to break your story up in 3 acts. The first one should essentially set up the scene and set up your goals and what you stand to lose, because it kind of builds up the tension. In the second one, you have to introduce the conflict. You want to do something, but you can't because you're missing a crucial skill or just because you don't know how to do something. And then the important thing is showing that you almost gave up. And then you follow up with the third act, which is you just never giving up. You find exactly what it is that's stopping you from achieving your goals, and then you show the pain and real struggle of you actually going through it. Now, instead of just having a normal script for a video, you have the groundwork for a story that is actually meaningful, not only for you, but also for the viewer that is getting involved in your video, that is actively interested in finding out if you will ever achieve your goal. This is why it's so important that we treat videos like movies, because it just shows a beautiful art that has just been kind of lost with all of these social media posts and all of these YouTube videos that are all educational and trying to sell you a course. Now, I know some people will go in the comments and be like, oh, but you know, a lot of people start doing YouTube to make money. It's a genuine career. And to that I say, yeah, you're right. But the most successful people on this platform have been the people that didn't really care about the views. The people that really made something because it meant a lot to them. And I'm not talking about Mr. Beast. I'm talking about the Mark Robbers of this platform. I'm talking about the people like Ox, the people like Riza. In a world where everybody just focuses on the money aspect of making videos online, there are the few that just care about making an impact. And that's why it stands out so much. You're willing to put in the time, you're willing to put in the effort to actually create something that outlasts any other video in this space. You want to make an impact. You want to influence somebody's life. You want to make it better. So just get that notebook, write your story, and change your mindset about the videos you're making. Because you should be making movies you're proud of, not just videos. So if you're only gonna take away one thing from this entire video, let it be make movies instead of videos, because that's who you are. Anyway, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I'm gonna be making a lot of these videos. I'm gonna be posting twice a week on YouTube. I'm also posting daily on Instagram and on TikTok, so if you want to see more of that, then just follow me at Rob on Film. I'm really hoping you enjoyed this video, and if you did, tell me in the comments. If you didn't, let me know so I can be better next time. And if you want me to talk about anything in the content creator space, just let me know. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.